Smileys Plastering, providing award-winning plastering and rendering services for over 25 years. I will handle everything from a small repair to a whole commercial building inside and out. Get a free quote day or night and every job gets a Smileys touch. Give us a call on 0417 730 926 or visit the website smileysplastering.com.au.
Ash Wells, thank you very much for taking me out for a cup of coffee.
No worries.
Let's start with your background. You were just telling me about harness racing.
Yeah, so I grew up in Morwell, which is a small local town in Gippsland, and we lived in town when I grew up, but we owned a farm and we had about 200 acres, and my dad actually was involved in harness racing. And then so growing up as kids, you just want to do what your parents do, and so we ended up actually getting a few ponies, and my brothers and I, we raced in a few, I guess you'd call them warm-up races before my dad's races, and they called it like pony trots. So that was, it's just something fun. We did it all on the weekends. Sometimes we'd go out after school and train our horses and things like that. My brothers were a lot better than me, I must admit. I didn't win a lot of races, and my brother had the best pony, my older brother Matthew, and so one day I thought, here's the chance to beat him in that, and I'll ride his pony, and we swapped, and I still didn't win, so it must be the jockey.
I was going to ask you, is it hard? Is it not about how fast the horse is, or how much play does the jockey actually have? Oh, sorry, the sulky rider. It's a rider, not a jockey, isn't it?
Yeah, so the interesting thing that my brother tells me after I lost to him is that he actually used to sing to his pony, and I never knew that until after he won the race. And it's obviously tricks of the trade that you don't pick up on, and I didn't have a clue that that's what he'd been doing all this time, but his horse used to just fly, and I never knew how until after that race. He said, yeah, you didn't sing to her, so that's why you didn't win.
Now, you do actually come from quite a large hockey family as well, so not just horses.
Yep, so there's 6 in my family. All obviously grew up the standard background. Started playing when I was 5. All 6 of us play hockey. We grew up in playing for the same club. My mum's a life member there, so it's just guaranteed that's what you end up doing. Like, you just follow. I played with all my family members at one stage, so I played with my mum's team. I played with my brothers, my sister, my dad's team, and like a small local town, that's what ends up happening. You end up playing, and it's very family orientated, which was great for me. But sometimes frustrating when dad's the coach and mum's helping out, and you get like all these opinions on the drive home. Like, I'm sure everyone's been there before, but sometimes frustrating. But I love it, and I still now talk to my dad about things that happen in hockey, and he gives me his opinion, and my brothers, of course, obviously give me their opinion. But hockey family really through and through, I guess.
How much influence have those brothers had in you becoming called the Joker and the practical Joker?
I wouldn't say I'm much of a joker. I'm just I don't play practical jokes on people as much. I think a lot of people would laugh at me probably. I just really say things as they are, and often that can catch you off guard. And so I guess people find that funny. One of my brothers in particular, is quite hilarious, and he is playing jokes all the time and thinks he's funny every moment of his life. So he probably doesn't think I'm funny, but maybe I get a little bit from him, but I wouldn't say I play practical jokes on people.
I caught up with Rachel Lynch last year, and she was telling me about your top goalkeepers search. So
Yep.
How did that go for you last year?
Yeah, so Rach was obviously involved in it a lot more than what I was. So I did some in Footscray, which is a club that I used to coach at quite regularly when I lived back in Victoria. And we just went around, and most of the clubs approached us, and we just went and did some standard clinics. Like over here in Perth, we do a few every now and again, but the real thing that we wanted to find was someone that had the attributes of someone that could possibly be a key keeper coming up through the ranks. There's a few things that you need to look for, and what we ended up doing was taking the feedback back to the coaches, and we said if we thought there was someone that's coming up through the ranks that had potential, we passed that on to people like Mark Hickman and the goalie coaches of the Australian team, which obviously is not something they're going to have their radar on themselves. Like, they don't go out looking for 15-year-olds or 13-year-olds or such, but it's something that Rach and I feel quite passionately about. growing up, I didn't have a whole heap of one-on-one coaching and things like that. So to have someone come in and coach me would have been that like ideal situation, and even better to have that feedback straight through to the national program. So it's something we quite often talk about and we feel very passionate about. So it's something we try to do if we can. Often it doesn't fit in with our schedule, so we don't do as much as what we'd hope. But yeah, last year we had a block where we could do that, and so that's why that ended up happening. But hopefully there's some in the future that we can tackle there.
So when did you first pull on the pads? When did you give up running around out on the field?
It's quite an interesting story actually. Growing up, obviously I'm over 6 foot, so I had the standard knee problems, growing pains. So I grew up playing on grass in the country, and I played on the field since I was 5. So playing on the field, all fine. And then I went to trials for under 12s, or primary schools as it's called. Actually made it as goalkeeper and field player. Ended up being a bit better goalkeeper than field player, but it ended up just being too hard on my knees running on the hard surface. I could keep going on the grass, but I just couldn't handle it on the turf. So after a couple of years, I tried to cling on as much as I could to play on the field, as that's what I enjoyed the most. But I just couldn't keep up with the pace of the game and the physical demand on my body. So I ended up when I think I was about 13 or 14 when I called it quits on the field, and I just started to focus on being a goalkeeper. And yeah, just because I kept making state teams from then on, and I just had to focus all my attention on that. So,
Ash, you've obviously known Rachel Lynch for a long time. How does it feel playing understudy for so long?
Yeah, right. Well, technically we're not understudy, and you know, like we the way we work it at the moment is we're doing 50-50, and that's just because we need to, at the end of the day, make a decision on who's going to go to Rio. So there was a while there, it gets that bit where you people aren't always informed, so you're going up and down, and our team's really good with that. Like, you don't just make the team and then become number one and stay there. Like, it's someone like Tony Cronker's experienced that as well. She's been up and down, and that's the same thing with us at the moment. So Rach has obviously been to the Com Games last cycle and played majority of the games at World Cup, and so that was her time at number one. But I'm hoping that soon I can try and knock her off and take that position in Rio. So at the moment we're level as 50-50. But yeah, anything can happen. It depends on form. We don't sit there and say you're number one, you're number two. Yeah, it's just at the moment we're quite even.
So how long have you actually known Rachel?
Rach and I played my first year of 21s together. So it was a tough decision. Obviously, I was a lot younger than the age bracket of 21, so I could have I was still playing under 18s at that point, and I could choose not to play. Obviously, you come up to someone in the Australian team and they're already number one keeper in 21, so I had the choice of, do I just sit out and wait until she finishes? But I had the conversation with my parents at the time and said, do I want to use this as a learning experience, or do I just want to, bail out and say, well, I'm not going to get a game, I may as well just, not trial. And so we ended up deciding that it was worth spending the money and putting in the training to get that experience. So that one, I clearly was the understudy for Rach, and she played actually as our captain for that year. It was her last year of under 21s, and yeah, I just pretty much sat alongside her, learned as much as I could. That was my first real interaction with her. We had seen each other around the traps, like training and whatever, but that was my first real experience with Rach, and I learnt a lot from her that year. Yeah, it was actually really good timing, because after that she went to Perth and I didn't really get to train with her much or get that experience, and Rachel Imeson was over here in Perth already, so I was the number one goalie that was left back in Victoria, so that was my last chance to really learn from her, so I'm really grateful for that opportunity.
She's a bit older than you, so are you petitioning to have her pensioned off at some point?
Yeah, Rach is a bit older than me, but she's also got that personality where she's super competitive and she just wants to stay around forever. So it wouldn't surprise me if she stays on longer than what I do. Hopefully I can stick it out and the body holds up for a few more years yet. But it wouldn't surprise me if Rach wants to go one better and try and stick around for a bit longer.
All right, it's quick fire time, Ash. What's your biggest disappointment ever?
Possibly when Aymar scored that goal in the 1-on-1 in Argentina. I know it wasn't my fault, but it really felt disappointing to me.
We've talked about you being the worst roommate because you're a goalkeeper, but who's your worst roommate?
Oh, there's some messy ones in the team. I'd have to say Anna Flanagan.
Ooh, why?
She's super messy and I'm just so neat that I can't handle it.
We've said that you're a bit of a joker, so what's your funniest hockey moment?
Possibly when Ash Nelson on the AHL trip got covered in flour and water on the walk.
Very nice. Who's your role model?
Rachel Armisen, purely because she's Victorian and a goalkeeper.
What's left for you in hockey? What's your goal?
Obviously, I'm really keen to go to Rio, so that's the short-term goal, but then the long-term goal for me would be to play in the World Cup and Com Games after that.
What's the most romantic thing you've ever had done for you?
Romantic thing? Look, my boyfriend's not a huge romantic, but I think our anniversary weekend away was quite nice.
All right, some real quickies then. So what's your favourite colour?
Pink.
What's your favourite type of music?
Oh, I like all music.
What's your favourite TV show?
At the moment, Married at First Sight.
Are you giving some hints there by any... Oh, what's your favourite food?
Oh, good question. I like all food in general.
What's your favourite place that you've been to or you'd like to go to?
I quite like Boston.
What's your worst dad joke?
Oh, I don't have any dad jokes, sorry.
All right. If you had to go to a fancy dress costume ball, what would you go as?
Oh, I had my 21st as a fancy dress and I dressed up as the girl from Hairspray.
Very nice. Now, let's finish with Jodie Kenny. You call her your BFF online. Want
Yep.
to tell us why? Why is Jodie so close to you?
Oh, look, it's quite an unusual relationship we started. I moved over here, didn't have anywhere to live. We didn't even know each other, to be honest, but we ended up just clicking. I moved in with her and at the start we were roommates and then we just became best friends and we ended up doing absolutely everything together and I guess we get to share in moments that other people don't get to share in, and so we just have this really strong connection.
I'm going to leave you with, what tip would you give a goalkeeper, a young girl looking to aspire to be a hockey roo? What one thing would you say that's what you need to work on?
I'm a strong believer in that a goalkeeper needs to have good communication. It's often a forgotten skill that people don't think about, so if you can improve your communication, I think that would help a lot.